Arizona Senator Ruben Gallego is one of the Democrats, about, several dozen, skipping tonight's president's address. Earlier, I spoke with him about that decision, a lot more. Here's our conversation. Senator, there's a theory in politics that in any campaign to come, it's good to know what you're up against. So in that context, why not attend tonight's State of the Union so you know what you and fellow Democrats are up against?
Well, because we do know what we're up against. We're up against an administration that has just made this country sicker and poorer. They just had the Supreme Court overturn the tariffs instead of using it as an out to give some relief to everyday Americans. He's going to double down. Last year, average American spent $1,000, $1,200 more because of these tariffs. They're not getting a refund. The big corporations get a refund. Yet this president is more stubborn than ever to make sure he does that. And at the same time, we see what he's doing right now. He cut Medicaid, kicking millions and millions of Americans off of Medicaid and use that to fund this, overt suppression of Americans in our towns, creating chaos in our neighborhoods, separating families, racial profiling Americans every day, and trying to call it immigration enforcement. We've seen it. We've seen this show before. The president goes and talks about him. He doesn't talk about the State of the Union. And I think there's better things for me to be doing than wasting my time just listening to him just pontificate.
On the economic front, the president's going to remind Americans that when they file their taxes this year, many of them will see a larger refund because of elements of the so-called big, beautiful bill. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security. He's going to hammer that hard. Your constituents, I presume, like those refunds.
Absolutely. I mean, who doesn't like refunds? Let's be honest. Of course. But let's also understand where Americans are. For everything that this president is promised and has been passed on the bills, he's actually costing more. If you're the everyday Arizonan that didn't have your premiums extended, your premiums actually just doubled when it comes to Obamacare subsidies. They're talking about thousands of dollars for some families per day. That's not going to be helped by these tax cuts. If you're talking about the family that's got kicked off Medicaid, you're going to have to go and pay cash now, most likely, for your health care and/or not go without health care, which is going to end up being expensive in the long run. Let's get back to the tariffs. Americans are paying more and more at everything, whether it's a car, whether it's a home, or whether it's on food, because this president has been irresponsible in his use of tariffs. So I'm sure that some of that will help. It does, without a doubt. This president has caused more economic problems for the everyday American than any other president has in such a short amount of time period.
You know that immigration played a very big role in the 2024 election nationally and in your state. You were able to navigate that, but you also criticized the Biden administration and your party for laxity when it came to border security. Not just the politics, but the policy of the first year of the Trump administration on that issue.
Look, what I was very clear about with the Biden administration is that the uncontrolled border, the allowing of refugees to come and claim asylum and automatically getting to this country that created basically a chain of millions of people also looking at that loophole and being able to use it, was a problem and needed to be shut down. The president, Trump, actually, to give credit, did shut down border and legal border crossing. But what he moved from the chaos on our border to the chaos in our streets, where everyday Americans are being racially profiled, where people feel they have to walk around with their passports even though they're U.S. citizens, where 2 Americans were gunned down in only a span of 2 weeks in one city by federal ICE agents. That's not what this country asked for. The country asked for a secure border and for the deportation of criminals, dangerous criminals, not the person that you've known in your community for decades, not the person that has U.S. American citizen sons and daughters, not the person that is a veteran. What they asked for was entirely different from what this administration is giving. And that's why you see the president's numbers are underwater when it comes to immigration enforcement.
Senator, does it feel to you as if this nation's about to go to war with Iran?
Well, I don't have any information that you're not privy to. But when you're moving so many of our assets to the region, when you're moving so many of our jets, so many of our other war-making platforms and capabilities in the region, you're planning for something, and it's sometimes when you go down that road, it's very hard to undo it. But that's not what the American public wants. We're sick of wars. It costs us too much, both in terms of just energy and treasury, but also in the fact that, we'll be sacrificing our men and women for a mission that's unclear. The president's not justified why he's even moving in that direction. Are we going after nuclear weapons? Are we going after terrorists? Are we going after ballistic missiles? Are we doing this to support Israel? None of that has been very clear, and he hasn't abided by the Constitution to actually make that. So until I hear good reasons why we're doing this, something that's existential to the existence of the United States, I feel no reason at all to support another war, especially another dumb war in the Middle East.
Senator, we reported, that is to say CBS News and other outlets today, that the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Jeanine Pirro, is not any longer going to pursue charges against 6 members of Congress, including Mark Kelly, your senior senator from Arizona, your Democratic colleague. What's your reaction to that, and do you still fear on their behalf that the Justice Department could take that matter to another jurisdiction and still pursue an indictment?
Absolutely. Look, I'm glad it's not happening, that the prosecutors are going to stop, at least for now. But it is a big mark on our judicial system and justice system that they targeted U.S. senators that have the right of free speech, that have the protection of speech and debate clause from the Constitution of the United States. The fact that they were, going after, veterans that were just basically restating what is always known as a veteran, that you do not have to comply with illegal laws, especially those against fellow Americans. It really shows you how far this administration is willing to go to suppress public opinion, especially those that are against this president. And I'm glad it stopped, but I have zero confidence at all that they wouldn't find another way to try to persecute my colleagues.
Arizona Democratic Senator Ruben Gallego. Thank you, sir.